There's something growing inside the Hadal Blacksite. It clings to the walls, breathing. It's not just a background detail or decoration. It's something more. Something wrong, spreading through the corridors like a living infection. They call it rotten coral, but with how it appears more often the further you go into the Blacksite, it's clear that this is no ordinary fermented growth. It could very well be the result of a failed experiment or a symptom of something ancient buried beneath the surface. In this video, I want to dive into one of the creepiest, most overlooked parts of pressure and how the rotten coral could be the key to understanding everything that went wrong here. Rotten coral appears in the most unusual places. You might expect to see it in flooded rooms, near water systems, or maybe even in lab tanks, but instead, they show up in dry hallways, ventilation shafts, and collapsed rooms far from any aquatic environment. It's dark, slick, and unlike anything we've ever seen, let alone natural coral, it seems almost fungal or even fleshy. As I mentioned before, as you go deeper into the map, you'll notice it becomes even more common, like it's creeping outward from a central point. And that's where things get kind of strange because nothing else in the facility seems to spread like this, with the only other real sort of infection being the mask of sadness, which transforms any living being it touches into a living flesh, which we can clearly see with the good people, an amalgamation of flesh with the mask clearly being the catalyst. One possible explanation is that the rotten coral was engineered. The Hadal Blacksite wasn't just mining or studying ocean life. There's strong evidence that it was running biotech experiments, splicing DNA, pushing limits, testing growth acceleration. Rotten coral could have started off as a synthetic organism designed to survive underwater or even repair underwater structures naturally. But something went wrong, as they usually do. It became aggressive. It began to replicate uncontrollably, latching onto whatever it could just to digest it. Coral, metal, rubber, and even possibly human tissue. And once it breached containment, the facility never stood a chance. Now, here's where it really gets more unsettling, not because of what the coral looks like, but because of what it sounds like. If you stop and really listen in areas where rotten coral grows, you'll hear strange, like wet gurgles, like deep rumbling pulses, almost like breathing. And it doesn't sound random, it sounds intentional. And the noises it makes doesn't seem just like ambient noise. They sound more like signals, attempts to communicate, which leads to a disturbing theory that the coral is sentient, not intelligent in a human way, but aware. It reacts, adapts, and could be using sound to monitor its surroundings. Maybe the monsters aren't just mindless threats, but they're being called by the coral, drawn to places where it senses intruders. And if that is the case, the coral isn't just alive, it's listening. Another thing to note that actually somewhat supports the fact that this coral is alive or sentient is that we never find any bodies, no skeletons, no remains, just empty submarines and overgrown rooms. It's possible that the people that worked here not only died in the disaster, but were absorbed, broken down on a cellular level, and converted into this twisted biomass. Rotten coral might not just be a symptom of contamination, but it could be the staff, transformed, still alive, somewhere inside that pulsing growth. A living graveyard of the facility's own creation. And this idea kind of reminds me of the anomaly in Still Wakes the Deep, where it has this similar functionality and appearance, aside from not being green, of absorbing people into this fleshy biomass. And everyone's consciousness gets combined as one when they're absorbed, so maybe this is somewhat similar. Though, while researching the rotten coral for this video, I found that one document does mention rotten coral in it, with that document being the one for infestation. And in that document, we find that rotten coral is the sole reason why the infestation has the telepathic ability to pull your vision. As it reads, the experiment consisted of gouging out the eyeballs of the patient, placing them in a jar of genetically altered rotten coral for 18 hours, injecting the new rotten eyeballs with 20 milliliters of CT19, whatever that may be, before surgically implanting them back into the patient. So perhaps rotten coral has a significant effect on the mind somehow. I'm assuming that by default, these effects are minor, but by genetically altering the rotten coral, it allows the mental manipulation to be significantly stronger. Maybe standing near the rotten coral for too long causes people to lose sanity or has some other negative effect on one's psyche. I find it odd how you can run into this stuff almost every run, and it makes these mysterious noises, yet there's no document on it at all. It makes me wonder if it really is as significant as I think it is. I mean, biologically, it shouldn't exist, at least not where it grows. Coral requires water, sunlight, and a calcium-rich environment, yet this coral thrives in dry tunnels, buried vents, and broken machinery. It grows in places no reef could possibly survive. So obviously, there has to be a reason for it, right? There might be a core or heart, maybe somewhere deeper in the Blacksite, but until we see it, we'll just never know. But the way that I see it, the rotten coral isn't just a decoration, it's a warning, a record of what was done in the dark and what was lost. It could be a weapon, a parasite, or the beginning of something we were never supposed to find. And worst of all, if it's still spreading, it's not finished. And if we can't stop it, maybe the real ending to pressure isn't about escape, it's about becoming the part of the coral too. If y'all did enjoy this little deep dive, well, actually, I guess it wasn't too deep of a dive, so we'll call it a shallow dive into the rotten coral. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. That's what they say, right?
Yes, it's what they say. Finish the script before I change it myself.
Okay, my bad. I was just making sure everything was right. As I did enjoy doing a little research on a subject that's almost never talked about. Also, a shout out to Unsurprised for making these little scenes with my avatar in this recording booth. I thought they were really cool and added some flair to the video that I didn't really have before. We also all know that the Outdoors update for Doors is coming out on the 10th, so I will be streaming that live when it does come out, so be sure to stop by and say hi. But with that, that's going to be all I talk about in this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, but only if you did enjoy, and I will catch y'all whenever I decide to upload again.